Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, and today we're going to talk about the Jewish holiday of Simchas Torah, which literally means the joyous happiness of the Torah. Well, let me frame it first before we get into this holiday. Now, the Jewish month, which is a lunar month of Tishrei, starts with the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, which means the New Year, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Well, we dedicated a few shows already to these holidays, and this comes as a continuation. So really, the month of Tishrei is chock full of mitzvos, of commandments, of holidays. So this is the first day, first 2 days of the lunar month is Rosh Hashanah. The 10th day, which is about a week later, is Yom Kippur, and then even that is not finished. 4 days or 5 days later, on the 15th day of the lunar month, is the holiday of Sukkot, which maybe you see people around or you do yourself. You make a sukkah hut. That's a major mitzvah commandment. I talked about this before. And we hold a lulav and esrog, the 4 different types of plant, which are lulav and esrog in Hebrew, but it's the palm branch, the citron, the willow, and the myrtle. So that is the holiday of Sukkot. But then, and even then, there's even another holiday right afterwards. Really, it's called Shmini Atzeres because Sukkot is for 7 days. Shmini in Hebrew means 8th. So we're talking about Shmini Atzeres, the 8th day of gathering. And then, it's very interesting, only outside of Israel, because Israel has 1 day of Yom Tov, 1 day of the holiday, that we have outside of Israel, Simchas Torah, which I wanted to talk about. Now, it's very interesting. What do we do on Simchas Torah? You have to celebrate it. What's the idea behind it? How do we celebrate the holiday? Well, as the name connotates, that it says that's the happiness of the Torah. We conclude the Torah. Now, what does that mean? Now, there's 5 books of Moses. Now, you say 5 books, which there are 5 books, but if you see a Torah scroll, it's one big long scroll. Truth is, in between each book of the Bible that's written in the Hebrew language in the Torah, there are 3 distinct lines, right, empty lines. So there is like if you want to say a book break, a chapter. It's not a chapter break because it's a whole book. In any case, there are 5 books in that one big scroll that's read on Saturday and on holidays, on Shabbos, and on different times of the year. Now there becomes a beginning and an end, meaning that, and I've always said this is a very important lesson, that when you come to the synagogue on a Shabbos, on a Saturday, to read one portion. Really, there's 54 portions. Some people say there's 53, but sometimes they're combined if it's not a leap year. In any case, that, all right, let's say, just round it off, 1 portion per, or 2% per week is read. You start with in the beginning God created, and you end up with the Torah. So it's very interesting that even if you're a scholar, you say, well, I read it, I know it inside and out, I know the Bible. There is an obligation to listen to the Torah, and really is an obligation on every person to come to the temple, to the synagogue, and listen to the Torah portion, which I say is important just besides the Judaica part of it. I always said this is an important lesson that even the Americans should read, because how many people know what's in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? Just your basic law. You don't have to be a lawyer. You shouldn't be a lawyer. It's just for every citizen of the United States. You don't have to be a lawyer to read the Constitution. It is a law document, of course, but still, just at least to know your rights. And I think that's important for every citizen to know. But maybe you read in grammar school. I don't know how many people have read it. But again, taking a lesson from Jewish life, that it's always repeated every single year, so you know at least the basic Judaism. I mean, there's so much to learn besides that. There's the whole Old Testament, which is called Tanakh, the prophets, the writings, the oral law, the Talmud. There's a slew of important to learn, but even if you only have the basics, at least you have the basics, and that's very, very important. In any case, that you're reading it, we said, from the beginning to the end. And like I said, every year you repeat it. Go back to the beginning. Now, when is that beginning and when is the end? So then that's where we come into our idea, Simchas Torah, which concludes the 5 books of Moses. And as I just said before, it's not like, oh, I read the book and I know it already, and maybe you do, and you maybe did read the whole thing. No, you got to start it again and relearn it, and that goes on every year by year by year. And so they read a little bit of the beginning, just at least to continue on to the beginning of the Torah, and know that, yeah, you're not finished. Goodbye and good luck. A lot of times, again, I would say, like a lot of college students, that obviously just to get through college, you have to read many, many books. But then, okay, I'm done. College is over. Did you read anything about your major that you were majoring in university? No, I haven't looked into a book for years. I mean, some people obviously do and do learn, but a lot of people don't even open up a book, and even if they do, it's not in their major field. So again, here Torah teaches you that even if you learn it, you got to start all over again. You're not finished. Yes, you learned it. Yes, you heard the Torah. The whole year, start again. So that's a few important lessons that we learn from Simchas Torah. But another thing, actually, not in contrast, but to learn from the world, that we know that graduation time, June, there's always pictures of the graduation, and of course in stores there's graduation parties that you can pick up this and different party favors for the graduation. Well, it's a big hullabaloo, and it's right that they do it. Listen, you put in 4 years high school, 4 years of college, whatever, master's degrees, and there's to make a celebration that you have accomplished and you finished your core studies. So that's proper, and that's why I say you can relate to that, to the Torah. So you say, well, you went through a whole Torah, it's a whole year, every Shabbos, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to read. You've been reading, you've been learning, you've been delving into the commentaries to understand a little better. Well, you do make it's called in Hebrew a siyum, a conclusion of the 5 books of Moses, or the Torah scroll. And like I say, with graduation, there's what to be happy about and celebrate. So that's very, very important to celebrate. And that's where, again, going back to the name, it didn't say learning the Torah holiday, it's Simchas Torah, which means Simcha means happiness. So we're happy by learning the Torah. And concluding, if you want to say, it's a little bit crude, it's not a graduation, because a little bit it isn't a graduation. Yes, you concluded, there's what to be happy, but we start all over again, because, again, how many times do you have to read one book? Even if you like a book, Harry Potter, you read it twice, 3 times. How many times do you have to read a book already, even if you really, really enjoyed the book? Well, that's a book, because you know the beginning, know the end. You've learned it, you read it. But here, that when you're learning the Torah, it's not just a book of Judaism 101, but it's actually written from God. This is God's book, and God is infinite, so the Torah is infinite, and therefore that even if you go through it, and anybody who's done this just gets deeper insights into themselves, into the world, into Judaism, when they read the book again. So it's not like same old, read it again, but it's really reading it again and getting deeper. And it's very, very interesting that, like we say, it's not a book. It's really written you can read it in a book. There is obviously the Bible's in the Chumash, which is called, Chumash means 5 books of Moses. Obviously there are books all over, different translations and different commentaries, to say the least, but the original scroll that they read in the temple, in the synagogue, is a scroll, like I said, and it's round. Now that's an important lesson, because very many mitzvahs, commandments in the Torah, have we can call a cylinder shape, not just round, a 2-dimensional circle, but a 3-dimensional, like I said, cylinder, which is the Torah scroll. What does that teach you? It's almost like, they don't have it only in a few places, but I'm sure you know about it. that you go up a staircase, you go round and round and round, sometimes up to Statue of Liberty. Different places, people's homes don't have that so much, I know, or just going up an office building. But you start from the bottom and you go round, but not go round in a circle. You're going nowhere. That's ridiculous. You go round, but you're going up and up and up and up and up and up and up like a cylinder. So that's an important example of just looking at a Torah scroll, but you can see a mezuzah also. The mezuzah is the scroll on the doorpost. So you could say you put up a sign. The signpost is not round over here. You put up a sign. It's a flat sign. Stop, one way. You put up a sign. So here's a sign of a Jewish home. So put up a sign, like I say, a stop sign or some kind of sign. There you put it flat. But no, it's in a cylinder shape again. It's round up. That's the way it's supposed to be. And even though obviously there's writing inside of it, it's the Shema Yisrael in Hebrew. On the other hand, who can read something that's wound up? But that's, you understand, there's many, many mitzvahs, and we count out many more that are in a cylinder shape. And again, what is the cylinder teaching you? That it's saying that you go around the circles. Yes, on one hand, same old, like we just said. The 5 books of Moses. No one changes it. It hasn't been changed in thousands of years since it was originally given to Moses on Mount Sinai. On the other hand, it's not just go round and round, like I say, getting nothing new out of it. You're going around, but you're going up and up and up and up. And that's why I say you're going deeper. You can say deeper, or even you're going up, really, not going down. Your minds are going higher in order to get a deeper appreciation of the Torah. So that's a very important idea about Simchas Torah. We just repeat it, and people say, same old, it's the same thing. But no, you should dig into it and get even to a higher level, even though on one hand, on one plane, looking down, you're just going around in a circle, same old, yes, it is the same Chumash, it's the same Bible, but on the other hand, you're going higher and higher, and you're getting more and more out of it. So how do we celebrate it? That's the idea behind it. Now, how do we celebrate? It's very interesting again. That is very joyous. We just said it's Simcha. We've been saying that. It's happiness. So again, maybe you could learn a little bit from graduation, but really, people who go to synagogues and Simchas Torah, it's not just they're happy or they eat, which you're supposed to be, but there's a lot of dancing going around. They're dancing with the exact Torah scrolls. Now, these Torah scrolls are holy. They're, like I said, they're God's words, and surely not allowed to let them drop on the ground. But on the other hand, that on Simchas Torah, we do take them out. And very interesting that we're not learning. I mean, you'd think the Torah, if it's the Torah, then maybe it should be a learning the whole day. That would be a nice thing. Let's have a learning session if it's about the Torah. But no, that it's covered over, with the mantle, that it's covered over, and people are dancing with the Torah. And it's interesting to give an example. The Torah obviously cannot walk. It's wooden handles and parchment, but the person calling is with the feet, is the feet of the Torah. They're dancing around with the Torah. The Torah itself dances around with the person. It's very an important idea. Now, how do they dance? Obviously, there's so many different kind of dances. Square dancing, the twist, all these different kind of ballroom dancing, so all kinds of different dances out there. But what's more of a Jewish Hasidic dancing is they dance in a circle. A very important idea. And again, another important lesson, because what did we just say about a circle? It's very going around and around. But another important about a circle, where's the beginning or the end of a circle? Well, there isn't any. Every point you could say, well, that's the beginning, that's the end. You can touch upon every point. And that's a very, very important idea also, that it's round and round, meaning even though, of course, the Bible does start at the beginning, goes to the end, but when it's scrolled up, it's all wound up as one thing. And therefore, that even though you can say this is more important, it's the beginning of the thesis, at the end of a thesis, it's a conclusion, it's the middle, different ideas when you say if someone's writing a book. On the other hand, the big other hand, is that then on one hand the Torah is all equal. It's a circle. I mean, when it's wound up, it's a circle. That it's in, and what's a circle? More of infinity. Where's the beginning? Where's the end? It's all God's word. So you can't ever say, well, this is an important sense, and this one, it's a little bit dull. Because, let's face it, a lot of people ask me this question when they read the Bible, that there's certain things, there's lineage and genealogy of people, and, they come to me and this is boring. This is something, just names, I don't know, thousands of years ago, literally. I don't know who they are, what they are. I don't care about them. Nothing interesting about it. But see, that's not the Torah attitude. I mean, you're right. It may be not the most interesting thing in the world. But again, you dig deeper into it, that you'll see that there are deeper ideas in it. And there's not, like I say, this is more important. It's the beginning of a chapter. The middle could be cut out. It's just boring. So all of the Torah is like a circle. It's all one. That means every word, every idea is important, and every letter is important. And that shows you that it says that if there's one letter missing or misformed and something damaged or was some way or another in the Torah scroll, they stop the reading and they put it away. I mean, later on they'll fix it, and then they'll bring in another Torah scroll. Everything is 100%. So there's really, when you look at it, this is boring. Oh, I love the story of Joseph and his coat of many colors. That's a really interesting story. Oh, these genealogies are boring as anything. Who cares about these names? So you get the point. I know it is more interesting, to Joseph's story, but in a deeper aspect, all of the Torah has a deeper idea, and then it's really, again, all one. So therefore we see the Torah scroll is in a circle. We see the dancing around is in a circle too, because again, same thing you say with the Torah, you could say with human beings too. That you could say, well, that person's more important, that person's not so important, that person's least important. You understand where you're talking with money or to knowledge. Maybe a person's illiterate, maybe he doesn't have any money, he's poor. So you could say, there's what to say. There's more important people in the world and less important people. But again, on one hand, you could say that, but in the Torah attitude is not that way. That every person, again, you dance in a circle. You'd say who's in the head of the class or the beginning of the line. You'd say who's number one, who's the best. So there's what to talk about. And again, what can you say about a circle? Who's in front, who's in back? There isn't such a thing. Everybody is equal in a circle, just like we say, there's no beginning and the end of the circle. So too with people, there's no beginning. No one could say I'm better than you. And it's a very interesting. Of course, I have a story about everything. One of my million stories is just saying that this is in Europe, make a difference, about 100 years ago, and the Rosh Yeshiva, meaning the head of the school, rabbinical school, was asking one of the students, how much have you learned for an entrance exam? He says, little. So he said, and then the head of the, obviously, school, who was very learned, said he moaned, and he says, yes, true. That's how much anybody has learned. Very little. I mean, again, as we talked before, the Torah is infinite. And because it is infinite, so even though a person could be a great scholar and learned a lot and a great deal, but on the other hand, those people really understand, that's when I say the depth of the Torah. And the depth of the Torah is infinite. So as much as you learn, it's very, very small, and it's very little. That's an important point. And then it's interesting, again, I have so many stories that, people dance, and let's face it, they do a little drinking, to make yourself happy, which is good. Of course, you have to be over age. But in any case, a little drinking, and obviously you drink and you get happy. That's what a party is. And again, this is a very serious party. It's not frivolous, but it is to be happy, and you take a l'chaim, you take a drink. And truth is, let's face it, you get a little, you're going to sleep it off, and you're going to sleep in the next day. So again, the story from the Baal Shem Tov says these people are, one person was cackling and arguing, hey, everybody's still sleeping in, hey, come on. But Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidus, says yes, but he says their they're not their footprints, but first steps that they were dancing around with the whole night, they ascend to heaven, just like prayers. So again, you can express yourself in many ways, obviously with your mouth and expressing, and especially with your feelings. But the dancing is also very important. The right time to dance is a time for everything, of course. And the right time to dance is on Simchas Torah because you're so happy with the Torah. And again, we said the mantle's over the Torah because it's not a matter you can read it, you can't read it. Person was saying, I gave a person a Hebrew book and they said it's all Greek to me. When they came to services, well, it's not Greek, it's Hebrew, but obviously a lot of people cannot read the Hebrew or understand it, and a lot of people have a very great depth of the Torah. But again, that's why it's covered over. It's not a matter of learning, because when it comes to learning, there's scholars and there's people who can't even read. So obviously there's going to be many, many differences between people. But when the Torah is covered, it's just the beauty of the Torah. It's the gift of the Torah that people have been given God's word in order to understand what it is and how it is, and at least understand a little bit, and like I emphasize a little bit. But again, I remember the Lubavitch Rebbe once said about the Rambam, Maimonides, the ultimate knowledge, he says, is to know that you don't know. A little bit what we were talking about before. It's an infinite Torah. People just know a little. Oh, I know everything. I could tell you everything. The people who hardly know anything. The people who are very deep, either in science. I got an A in biology. I know biology. I got a good grade in it. The people who really, really know about these ideas understands that there's so much more to learn about every aspect of science, for sure, and even every subject. There's so much more to learn. So a person whose depth is a really deep idea of this idea that they would appreciate, so to speak, like I said, more the depth of the Torah than anybody else over here. So in any case, the Lubavitcher Rebbe talked about the Rambam, and Rambam says that Maimonides is very deep, and he said that ultimate knowledge is that you don't know. But the Rebbe explained that he says there's two ways to approach it. So he says, well, the ultimate knowledge that you don't know, so I won't learn anything, I won't read, I won't learn. And I admit, I know nothing. See, I got the ultimate knowledge, I know nothing. Well, that's the lazy man's way of doing things, Rebbe said. The deeper idea of learning is to learn as much as you can, people's minds. I don't know how much people uses their full intellectual capacity, but in any case, really, really working hard to try to understand as much as you can, and then get the idea, hey, I don't really understand, like we were talking about before, it's a drop in the ocean. It's just a very little bit of how much a person can understand. So that's why, again, that's the reason. Because you could say this is a graduate, let's learn something. Jews are always learning Torah. Then why shouldn't we learn the Torah on Simchas Torah? Instead, we're dancing with the covered Torah on Simchas Torah, again to emphasize the point that it's covered. There's something beyond the Torah that we can't understand, so that's beyond our understanding. Like I say, we're all equal in that sense, because if it's covered over, no one's reading it. So everybody doesn't know what's inside of one's covered Torah or not. And the dancing's in a circle to show everybody's equal. And in a certain sense, that's what makes it happy. That's the emphasis. Because if you're happy, hey, I understood something. Hey, or I even graduated. What means graduated? I took some courses. Doesn't mean you know everything in the university. I graduated. I took a lot of courses, and I passed, and now I'm graduated. But so you excuse me, you're going to be happy, but you're going to be limited in your happiness. And what you're supposed to do is to be in order to be super happy, then you go beyond your thinking or your understanding. something that you don't understand, and then you can be truly happy because it's beyond you. As much as you understand a little bit, so you understand a little, you understand more, you're happy a little more. But here like I said, it's an infinite idea which you cannot grasp, and that's why you should be truly, truly happy on Simchas Torah. Now, just we have a few more minutes to conclude. You could say, well, it's a happy day, Simchas Torah, which we just said we've been explaining for a half hour how it's so happy. On the other hand, it's very, very important to continue that happiness throughout the entire year. So it's not like, okay, one day we're happy, or one day we do this on the Jewish calendar. We have different feelings, like we said before, Yom Kippur, you're introspective, you're repenting, you're trying to make yourself better. Okay, I did one day. Or like Simchas Torah was saying, one day, all right, I'll be happy one day. All right, get back to work the next day. All right, that was a nice day. Now same old, get back to work. And that's not a proper attitude. That you go from one level, almost like again with that cylinder, it's like when you're up and thing, you don't just fall down, you keep going higher and higher and higher. It's a very, very beautiful Jewish idea that we're always going on a higher level. So you can ask, well, I'm going back to work. Here you're talking about the holiday, you're talking about Torah, you're talking about dancing, saying a l'chaim. I'm just going back to my same old job, 9 to 5, and nothing super happy about it, but nothing special about it. How can I carry that happiness? But that's what should be happy, because again, the Torah is infinite, and a lot of the Torah says just to work in the normal world, not just to make a little fun of it, to sitting in a mountain and meditating the whole day. You're supposed to take those special feelings and bringing it to the normal world, bringing it to the workforce, bringing it to your people that you work with, showing that you're a complete person, you're a spiritual Torah person, and you carry it out through your entire life, and not just, okay, one day is good and I'm done, but carry it through not only the next day, but every day of your life, to go, and again, when we're talking about a cylinder, go higher and higher, reach higher heights. It's a beautiful, deep idea that it's not just, okay, a few days I'll take off and have a holiday, I'll just kind of dance around for a night, and that was a nice experience, and now I'll go back to nothing. Regular old, same old job, but it's for Simchas Torah. Now, it's a very beautiful idea. We say, well, they could have, appointed this day of Simchas Torah any day of the year. And there is a holiday, Shavuos, which is right at the beginning of summer, around June time, beginning of June, late May, but early June. And that's when we have the anniversary when the Torah actually was given at Mount Sinai to Moses and to the Jewish people. So really, then the next question could be, why didn't you institute Simchas Torah then? Why after we said Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot? And the deeper answer is because that's what we wanted to do. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, you usually feel spiritual. It's a new year. It's a day of atonement. You're clean, and therefore then you're atoned for, you're pure, you're after all the holidays, you reach to a higher level. Now is the time to be happy on Simchas Torah and to really appreciate. You have to be a proper receptacle also. You have to prepare yourself for Simchas Torah, and surely after Yom Kippur, now you feel clean and you're purified and you're happy to have the Torah being given to you. So it's a very interesting idea, just where they juxtaposed the holiday of Simchas Torah right really after end, as I started off the show saying Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shemini Atzeres, so all the holidays, and the last one to celebrate is Simchas Torah, because then you're truly ready for a happy and joyous Simchas Torah. And the main thing again is what we said: older, younger, smart, illiterate, you can't read Hebrew, doesn't make a difference. Everybody comes. And it's interesting that many times in the synagogue, many more people will come for Simchas Torah, maybe because they like a party, but let's say it's more of a spiritual reason. They appreciate the beauty of the Torah. It doesn't make a difference who you are and what you are. Celebrate the Torah. So hopefully that we explained a little bit in a deeper idea, and get more appreciation for the holiday of Simchas Torah. And thank you very much.